Welcome to the Sisters of the Shire podcast. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Abby. And how was your weekend?
Good. Just getting ready for my trip, making all of the crafty things.
Oh, so fun. I'm not jealous.
I know. I'm sorry. I love you. We'll go one day.
So much fun.
I'll think of you.
Yeah, you better. So before this episode started recording, you were telling me that it's gonna make me real sad. This episode,
just a little. There's gonna be you're gonna be miserable. What's Ron's line? But you're gonna be happy about it.
Yeah. Okay.
I guarantee you a happy ending, but it's gonna be sad first.
Oh man.
And I have a bet going with my mom to see whether or not I'm gonna make you cry, because you are definitely the empath out of the two of us.
I have a heart and all.
You do. Mine is black, but
Okay.
You ready?
I'm ready.
You got your tissue box on standby?
I ate my emotional support Oreos.
Oh, okay.
I'm good now.
Good. Okay. So before I make you cry, we're going to review last week's episode. So last week we were in Feanor, and Nienna and Yavanna were able to produce one last golden fruit and one last silver flower from the two trees before they officially died. And from that, and with a Valar team effort, they made the sun and the moon, or Anar and Isil. We were introduced to a Bade Maiar named Arian, who is basically a fire spirit and was picked for the job of guiding the sun across the sky. And I'm going to warn you guys right now, I posted all of the artwork of her because they're so cool.
She is pretty cool.
Sorry,
her
not
eyes
sorry.
are on fire.
Right? And then we were introduced to another Maiar, a Narcissus-like Maiar, named Tilion, who was one of Arome's hunting party. He's obsessed with silver, and he, instead of being qualified for the job, he begged for the job of steering the moon across the sky. But he wasn't very good at it. He was never really consistent in his path or speed or timing. And he was also creepily drawn to Arian, so much so that he actually burned the moon at one point. And I'm just going to say right now, when I was looking for artwork of Arian and Tilion, there's a reason that there's more of Arian. Other than fire being so cool. But I didn't post a ton of them together because I'd say like 75% of the artwork out there is of them being lovers. And I did not get that vibe from Tolkien. I don't know what you guys are all smoking, but Arian, I feel like, is an independent woman, and Tilion is just like the creeper that stalks her. She don't need no man.
She ain't need no man.
No.
But and I feel like she never was like, sure. She was like, get away.
Yeah, exactly. But Tolkien uses their kind of weird relationship to explain the different phases and timings of the moon and sun in a roundabout kind of confusing way. The sun and moon actually serve as an excellent deterrent for Morgoth, though, to not get up to many mischief, because he hates the light and his orcs can't be in the light. So that kind of helped, but Morgoth always finds a way.
Yes, he's very determined.
Yes.
I'll say that about him.
And remember, he can be a rain cloud.
He's a very determined man. Cloud. He's a very determined man, Cloud.
Morgoth tried to turn Tilion to the dark side, but they failed, proving that Tilion isn't completely useless. But Morgoth is actually terrified of Arianne, so he didn't even try to mess with her, which I absolutely loved.
That's amazing.
The Valar want to protect themselves more from Morgoth, though, so they raise their boundary wall mountain range called the Pelori even higher. And they also hid Valinor by making the seas around it filled with shadows and bewilderment. And if a mariner were to sail nearby, a great weariness and loathing of the sea would come upon them. Anyone who managed to get to any of the islands nearby would be trapped there and would sleep until the change of the world. And I was thinking about this. Their whole motivation for doing this was supposedly to defend themselves against Morgoth. Morgoth's not sailing across the sea. These are clearly to deter men or elves sailing there. Like, are they worried? I just...
Yeah,
These things aren't going to deter Morgoth. They're only going to deter... Yeah. So...
he can, like, fly across the world pretty
he can
quickly.
Make himself invisible. Yeah. Like, I don't understand. In this case, I'm Team Feanor with, like, the Valar maybe aren't 100% trustworthy, but...
Yeah. Plus, they, like, have been seeing that the elves are getting a little rowdy.
Right. They're not the
and they're like,
obedient people that they wanted them to be, apparently, which, again, Team Feanor in that aspect.
True.
So in doing this, the Valar are essentially cutting themselves off from Middle-earth. But Ulmo actually does keep an eye on things, but with his little water network that he has around the world. But he's the only one that's really keeping an eye on things in Middle-earth. Within Middle-earth, the land of Beleriand is actually growing better than ever because of the sunlight.
Is that where all the elves went?
That's kind of the main area where, like, the Sindar are and King Eluthingal, and that's kind of where we're going to talk about a lot today, where Feanor and his company are going to be in.
Okay.
And things have been actually somewhat peaceful there because the orcs are afraid of the sun. And also because of the sun, the men are officially awoken. And they were given many mean nicknames by the elves.
No, those poor guys. They're like, we just got here. What did we do? Like, why you guys don't like us?
But somehow the men do become allies with some dark elves that they meet. And this is in spite of the elves thinking themselves far superior and considering the men to basically be adopted middle children of Iluvatar.
I know. They're like, we were here first.
Yeah.
But technically they were not here first. Who was there first?
The dwarves.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so that's where we left things last week. To kind of set the scene for this week, we're going to go a little bit back in time. Not not fully. So like a like just a little bit. So we're back to when Feanor first lands in Middle-earth. There's no sun, there's no moon, there's no men yet. They just landed.
So when he steals the ships.
Yes.
Okay, and there's no sun and moon yet when he does that.
Correct. Okay. So
that sounds like a super fun trip.
Oh, just you wait. It's about to get better. So an interesting thing that I haven't really explained yet is where they landed in Middle-earth. Did I ever tell you where? I don't think I ever told you.
Well, they landed... I mean, he's never been over there, right?
Right.
So how did he know where to go?
Yeah, that is my question for a lot of the events that are about to come to play here, but
maybe he had a map. He probably had a map.
But... He might have had a map. Do you remember a place called Lemoth or the Great Echo?
Where Melkor stubbed his toe and he yelled really loud?
Yes. It was where Melkor tried and failed to get away from Mongolia, and she was wrapping him up in her webs, and he screamed a terrible scream, or in your case, a goofy scream.
Yeah.
And
the Wilhelm scream from Star Wars.
Yes. And the scream would later echo in this particular area if any sound was made.
Cool.
So this is actually where they land. After all they went through to get to this promised land that Feanor had painted this lovely picture of, this is where they land.
They're like, cool, Feanor. That's I love leaving all my stuff behind and all my family and loved ones and murdering everybody else to land here. That's
Just
so
you wait.
great.
Quote, and even as the Noldor set foot upon the strand, their cries were taken up into the hills and multiplied, so that a clamor as of countless mighty voices filled all the coasts of the north, and the noise of the burning of the ships went down the winds of the sea as a tumult of great wrath, and far away all who heard that sound were filled with wonder.
So they get over there and then they like it's just like screaming,
Yeah.
like yelling. That that reminds me of just of like in all cartoon references or like show references of like being in hell,
Yeah.
and then it's just like consistent screaming and wailing.
Mm-hmm. So basically,
Mm.
they land, and then I feel like there's like a Pippin moment where they like knock a rock over or something like that, and it like skids into this like valley, and then all of a sudden,
It's
this
just
like
like
tumult
ding,
of yeah,
boom,
yeah,
and you could just see it's like it is like Pippin where they do something and then his like he just keeps wincing like ooh
yeah,
ooh ah
exactly.
sorry oh sorry
So
my bad guys my bad.
my bad. Also, the flames of the ships that they burned were super big and very bright. So, just by their entrance alone, they make a huge cacophony of screams and a blazing beacon of fire.
That must have been a sight. Like that must
Subtle,
have been like
subtle.
yeah. Act natural, you guys. Just act natural.
So, Feanor's company marches their way out of that great echo area of hell, and they make it to a lake called Mithrim. Not Mithril,
Mithrim.
Mithrim. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
And
Because
here,
doesn't that mean like silver or
oh, I
something?
meant to look that up. I forgot. I will look it up right now.
I'm guessing silver. That's my or gray or silver or something.
You're locking that in.
Yes.
Yeah, close. Gray people.
Mm. Well, don't they say that in the new show?
I think so. Yeah.
It's called
Which is weird. They
gray
don't have
glitter.
a word for silver. It's gray. Interesting. Anyways, so they make it to this lake, Lake Mithrim, and they start to make camp. Unfortunately, their oh so subtle entrance was noticed by
Uh-huh.
Morgoth and his orcs,
No, really?
and they attack Feanor's company, taking them completely by surprise before they even like made camp or set up any kind of a defense.
I think also like did they not have any they had to have had weapons with them if they were like on this like tirade of killing other
Yeah,
people. They
they had
had to have like
weapons, but
weapons,
they
so they
didn't
weren't like
have like
completely
a watch set. They didn't have any kind of like a perimeter or anything.
but they didn't completely like
They
they
had
weren't,
swords. Yeah,
defenseless.
no. This battle would be the second battle in the Wars of Beleriand. We went over the first battle, I think 2 episodes ago with the Sindar, and would
Okay.
later be called the Battle Under the Stars.
Such a beautiful name for such a sad thing.
Yes. So, although this was the Noldor's first battle against the orcs, they were taken by surprise and were outnumbered. They actually won.
Oh,
Quote,
well,
for the light of Aemon was not yet dimmed in their eyes, and they were strong and swift and deadly in anger, and their swords were long and terrible.
I mean, they're kind of on riding that high of
I know,
like,
like they're kind of
yeah,
they
let's
kind of got the
do this.
steroid rage going still.
Yeah.
So the orcs retreat. Um, some go down the coast, and actually they go south down the coast, and actually happened to meet up with the orcs that we mentioned a few episodes ago that had attacked Círdan and the Falas on the coast. We still don't really know what happened with that battle, but they went that way and joined up with those orcs.
Okay.
But luckily, one of Feanor's sons, named Celegorm, took a part of the elven host and caught up to them, flanked them, and drove them out. Completely obliterated them.
Nice.
Quote, "Evil indeed were the tidings that came at last to Angband, and Morgoth was dismayed. 10 days that battle lasted, and from it returned of all the hosts that he had prepared for the conquest of Beleriand, no more than a handful of leaves."
Huh.
I
Okay.
Googled the heck out of that term. I don't know if they mean a literal, like an orc went up to him by himself and handed him a handful of leaves, or like I don't understand that term. I Googled the heck out of it. Like, is this like a common, like, oh, it's a handful of leaves and that actually means like 10 people? Like, is this a common saying somewhere else? I could not figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, no answer for you. If someone knows, please tell me. But I was like,
Yes.
what?
It's like, hey, Tolkien, you can't just make like that's a common saying in you know elvish lore. It's like, but but that's not we're not used to that. How would we know that?
Right.
How would we know
How
that?
would we know that? Like, I was thinking for a little bit, like maybe it was kind of like the doom and the hallow thing. Like maybe I'm just like misunderstanding. Like maybe leaves means something different 50 years ago. No, I got nothing. But
Sure.
so despite him only having a handful of leaves left over from that orc army, things were actually going better for Morgoth than he thought. So, also during
Okay.
that battle, timeline here isn't quite specific, but I'm assuming it's the same battle. Feanor, who was so pumped to finally be fighting his enemy, actually pursued another pack of orcs that were retreating back to Angband. So some orcs
So
retreated south, and some orcs retreated back east towards Angband,
Ingband is where
Morgoth's
Morgoth
lair, the
is?
main,
Yeah.
yeah, the main stronghold.
Okay.
Quote, "And he laughed aloud as he wielded his sword, rejoicing that he had dared the wrath of the Valar and the evils of the road, that he might see the hour of his vengeance."
He sounds like a crazy person.
Yes. And I'm going to take a pause here and remind you that this is practically Feanor's first day in Middle-earth. This is his first time seeing an orc, let alone fighting an army of them. He has no
Dude.
idea what other creatures Morgoth has in his army. He has no idea where Morgoth lives, let alone what kind of defenses he has. He is going to this completely blindly, but just
He's
so
like, "Yeah,
full of,
let's
yeah.
do
Yeah.
this."
He's just so pumped to be finally acting on his vengeance after such a long journey to get to where he is now. And now he sees this opportunity to follow this pack of orcs back to their lair. He's like, maybe they'll lead me back to Morgoth. And he's just like so out of his mind.
What movie scene is that where they're like fighting and then like the guy just like runs into it and he's just like chasing them away like crazy. Like he's like, and what movie is that that's gonna bug me? When he's like, yeah, and he just like rushes in and they're like, no, don't do that. And he's like, wait for us. And he's like, nah. And he just like keeps going and he's like chasing the bad guys out and they're like running away, but he's still like chasing after them. Oh my gosh, that's gonna bug me. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do, but it's also, that's what's about to happen.
No, no, no. It's in Star Wars with
Han Solo.
Han Solo
Yes,
when they're
yes.
like,
I
"You'll
knew.
be
I'm like,
back,"
it's
and he's like,
either,
"No!"
yeah.
He's like running after them.
And then like he comes to like a whole pack of them. He's like, ah, run away.
Yeah, yes.
I think there's other
That's
instances
it.
of it too, but yeah, that one's one of my favorites. Oh, I freaking love Harrison Ford. Anyways, so quote, "But even had he known, it would not have deterred him, for he was fey, or out of his mind, consumed by the flame of his own wrath.
Can we start using "fey" more in
Right?
like
So
our
fey.
oh girl, he fey.
Stop trying to make fey happen. Mandatory Mean Girls reference. Okay, so he's following this pack of orcs back to Angband. And he is so out of his mind with wrath and vengeance, he's actually starting to outrun his own army. And he's just barreling
Oh.
into there all by himself.
Yeah, pulling a Han Solo.
Yeah.
Going for it.
But I feel like Han Solo was like trying to like sacrifice himself to help the others. And
Mm-hmm.
this is not what Feanor's doing. So
He's just going for it.
he's just so pumped. And he also has this kind of arrogance too that we'll see here in a minute. The servants of Morgoth in Angband see this crazy guy running at them all by himself. And what do? They release the Balrogs.
Oh. Oh no.
Yes. Quote,
That poor baby elf doesn't know what that is.
no. Quote, there upon the confines of the land of Morgoth, Feanor was surrounded with few friends about him. Long he fought on and undismayed, though he was wrapped in fire and wounded with many wounds. But at the last he was smitten to the ground by Gothmog, Lord of Balrogs.
Gothmog?
I know, right?
Whoa.
Yeah. You should see the artwork on that guy.
Whoa.
So Feanor's
Gothmog.
sons catch up to him before the Balrogs completely finish Feanor off.
In the countryside, Gothmog.
Oh, you just opened the realm of my childhood, and I love it.
Okay, wait, say that again. Sorry. I was thinking about Gothmog.
Trogdor, you mean? Trogdor! We need to make that clip immediately. Okay, so
Gothmog.
Feanor's sons catch up to him before the Balrogs completely finish Feanor off. And they take Feanor away, and the Balrogs return to Angband. And I kind of have this image.
How can you kill a Balrog?
Huh?
How can you kill a Balrog?
They didn't kill him.
I know, I'm saying, like, how can you kill a Balrog?
I have no idea. We will find out in a few chapters, I think. But I kind of have this image of my brain of these, like, huge, like, giant, but, like, kind of bumbling idiot giants being like, yeah, that's what I thought. And then, like, going back into their, like...
Yeah.
Try and storm my castle again.
Yes.
Because they probably could have easily just, destroyed all of them. But they're like, yeah, that's what I thought. So the sons of Feanor start the journey back to the lake where they had made camp. But Feanor asks them to stop. Quote, for his wounds were mortal, and he knew that his hour was come. With his last sight, he beheld far off the peaks of Thangorodrim, mightiest of the towers of Middle-earth. Remember, Thangorodrim is like the crazy, scary mountain peak that's like above Angband.
Mm-hmm.
Mightiest of the towers of Middle-earth, and knew with the foreknowledge of death that no power of the Noldor would ever overthrow them. But he cursed the name of Morgoth thrice, and laid it upon his sons to hold their oath and to avenge their father.
He died?
This actually isn't where I'm gonna make you cry, believe it or not. But yeah, he dies. I'm sorry. Aww. And so he has this moment of clarity that no power of the Noldor could defeat Morgoth, and yet his last words to his sons are to make them keep their oath and avenge him by defeating Morgoth. I know it's impossible, but do it anyway.
I sort of believe in you. Yeah. I think you might be able to do it.
Quote, then he died, but he had neither burial nor tomb, for so fiery was his spirit that as it sped or left, his body fell to ash and was borne away like smoke, and his likeness has never again appeared in Arda, neither has his spirit left the halls of Mandos. Thus ended the mightiest of the Noldor, of whose deeds came both their greatest renown and their most grievous woe.
Wow. That's such an epic way to go. I mean, they said he was the most epic of all the elves.
Right.
Like, he was the most, and he literally had a fire within him. So that's cool that he turned to ash afterwards.
Yeah. I kind of imagine it
But,
like, sorry, we just finished an Avengers marathon with my daughter. Uh, and, when uh, the in the last few, when Thanos snaps his fingers and they all start to kind of disintegrate, that's kind of what I
mm-hmm.
imagine, but maybe more smoky.
Yeah. Was it like, what is it? Who is that? Oh, um, Black Panther's right hand lady when Black Panther
Okoye.
fades away and
Hmm.
she's like has that look. I think that's what his sons looked like.
Yeah.
Like, no, what the heck?
Yeah.
Our
So,
dad's dust in the wind
I know.
now.
So I want to be sad here. Really, I do. I know there are people out there who just love Feanor. But
I mean,
what
he's
a
pretty cool.
stupid way to die! His own arrogance literally killed him. Like, what did he think was going to
Yeah.
happen? You just like storm in by yourself and try and take on all of Morgoth and his servants. Like, he just thought he was so invincible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, I'm having a really hard time finding something that Feanor contributed to like elf society. Like maybe he had made other inventions before the Silmarils that actually helped people. I would love to think
Indoor
that of
plumbing.
him. Huh?
Indoor plumbing.
Yeah. But his greatest creation, the Silmarils, he kept entirely to himself. Like, what else did he do for the world? Lead a mass exodus?
Maybe his wife did really cool stuff.
I wish. I don't know. I don't think you really hear from her again.
Yeah.
Like, all he did was lead a mass exodus, killed and abandoned people along the way for no other reason than they were in his way. Like,
Yeah.
I have a really tough time with
Hmm.
Feanor. Like the Valar, I had such high hopes for him. He had such awesome Tony Stark vibes in the beginning of the story. But,
Mm-hmm.
spoilers, but Tony Stark gave his life for the world. What did Feanor give his life for?
And he like multiple times gave his life
I
for the
know.
world.
So, anyways, I'm not trying to rag on Feanor. He had his points and his things, but man, what a stupid way to die.
It is kind of hard to tell like what he actually did for everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys
Gave
have
us his
a
sons. We'll take his
yes.
sons, who we're going to learn about more here in a minute.
Yeah, and you never know. Maybe he did something we Tolkien didn't say, but he invented and life got easier from that invention, but we don't get to know that.
No. I will say I like your idea. Let's just say for in our brains that he created indoor plumbing on Valinor, and I can live with that.
Yes.
So,
There we go.
R.I.P. Feanor. Moment of silence. Moment of silence. Okay. Anyways,
He's all he is dust in the wind. I gotta say, he was a brave guy.
he was a
He
very
was pretty
brave guy.
brave.
Yeah, super brave. Give him that. So we're back at Lake Mithrim, where Feanor's company had set up camp. Some of the Sindar come by to visit, and they are welcome with open arms. They did have a bit of a hard time communicating. It would seem that since the probably hundreds of years since the Noldor left Middle Earth, that their speech changed, but they managed to figure it out. And
Like they have different language?
it just like has morphed over time. So maybe
Mm.
kind of like I imagine a person from Spain speaks different Spanish than a person from Mexico, but it's maybe similar.
Mm. Like similar words and
Yeah.
stuff like that,
Like
but
the
not
roots are
entirely
similar,
the
but
same.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it seems like not all of the Sindar are behind that girdle of Melian that we talked about before. It seems like the Sindar, I kind of just imagined them as all of the elves that are mentioned in The Hobbit and the Lord of the and in the Lord of the Rings trilogy that are just kind of like wandering in the forest. They just kind of like to be not part of like a city. They just kind of like being off on their own in the forest.
Hey, you do you,
Yeah.
you know?
So, but I think, and this is just my understanding, my interpretation of things, that within the girdle of Melian they did say that people could pass back and forth, like from the girdle of Melian from their city and then out by with their permission. So maybe they were like on the list, they knew the secret
They had a
password, they
reservation.
had a reservation. Yeah. So the Sindar tell the Noldor all about King Eleuthingel and Queen Melian's kingdom of Doriath, about the girdle, and about everything else going on in Middle Earth since they left. And
Okay.
this kind of breaks my heart a little. The Sindar were actually very excited to see the Noldor. They didn't expect to ever see them again. And in fact, at first, my heart, they thought the Valar had sent the Noldor to help them fight off Morgoth.
Oh no.
Yeah, the
Sweet
Valar.
angel innocent
Yeah,
babies.
the Valar aren't that helpful, but that's a nice thought.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
yeah. Shortly after Feanor dies, a messenger comes from Morgoth. He admits defeat, offers his terms of surrender, and even offers to give up one of the Silmarils.
what? Huh?
It's
Oh
obviously
my gosh.
what?
Okay. Wait. I really want a messenger of Morgoth that's like orcish looking, super nasty, but he's like um has like a scroll, like he like pulls
Like
out
a
like this
herald.
big thing.
Hear ye,
Yes.
hear ye.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's like the most like well spoken of the orcs, but still it's like like
Actually, I was wondering that. Like, is it a only by word of mouth, or did Morgoth literally like send like a letter?
yeah.
And obviously, that letter
Um
had to be written in blood, and it had to have like a heart at the end. Love
yeah.
Morgoth.
Love Morgoth.
XOXO.
Yeah. I will kill you and your family.
To remind you of my love.
Yeah.
And then we
and
have
it
the
has and it
mandatory
has
Hamilton reference.
perfume on it. And it has perfume on it.
It's just a splash of blood.
Yeah.
So obviously,
But I
this is,
really can envision the like Herald orc
yes, I
that
like
tries
it.
to be fancy, but he also can't read. That would be so funny.
Well, I
I
also had
think
this
it
vision of
says
that part of Little Rascals.
yeah.
You're the scum between
Yes.
my toes.
yeah. But to
But then
them
I was
that's like
also
really
like, maybe
good
it was
things.
more like the mouth of Sauron. Like maybe he just has had the job for so long.
Maybe that was his first
Maybe that was his
job.
first job. He was an intern at this time.
Yeah. He finally got a big job and he was so excited.
So obviously this is a trick, and it's flabbergasting to me that Morgoth, the one guy who is so cunning, sowing his lies and deceit in Valinor, like he did a really good job there. How did
Mhm.
he
Mhm.
think of something so transparently stupid and think
Yeah.
it would work?
He's like, "Oh, trust me." Like, just forget about all that other stuff. Like, we don't have to talk about it anymore. Ugh, I was just acting crazy, you know?
And like he didn't really lose. Like, I mean, yeah, Celegorm kicked butt with the other orc army that retreated, but his Balrogs pretty much kicked Feanor's butt. So yeah.
Yeah.
So Maedhros the
Hmm.
Tall, the eldest of Feanor's sons, he's kind of in charge now. talks his brothers into meeting with Morgoth. You know, he does see it's a trick, but he wants to trick Morgoth right back. Like, he doesn't know that we know we know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Feanor's sons bring more soldiers than agreed upon to this meeting to try and out-fox the fox. However, Morgoth brings even more soldiers than agreed to. Plus, he also brings Balrogs.
Cool. That seems fair. That
Yeah.
seems like he really wants to surrender.
Yeah.
Gives
So
off that vibe.
this meeting immediately becomes an ambush, and unfortunately, Maedhros is taken hostage by order of Morgoth, and his entire company is slain.
Oh,
His brothers do
oh
manage to
no.
escape. The brothers are okay, and they make it back to Lake Mithrim. But poor
Okay.
Maedhros is taken back to Angband.
Maedhros is the oldest.
Yes. Then Morgoth
Okay.
sends a message to the Noldor. He will not release Maedhros unless the Noldor give up their war against him and return to the west, or at least leave Beleriand and go south.
Oh. So he's like, get off my lawn.
Yes,
Get out of here.
very much so. And the sons of Feanor know, of course, that Morgoth is completely full of crap at this point. Cannot be trusted. He will never release Maedhros, no matter what they do. Plus, they can't give up their war against Morgoth because of their oath to take back the Silmarils.
Ugh, that oath.
That oath.
Ruining things.
So Morgoth, seeing that the Noldor aren't going to give up, further taunts them. Quote, therefore, Morgoth took Maedhros and hung him from the face of a precipice upon Thangorodrim, and he was caught to the rock by the wrist of his right hand in a band of steel.
That sounds terrible.
Yes. Now, based on future events, I can say with somewhat certainty that the Noldor can't see Maedhros, luckily. But still, like, what a horrendous thing to do to someone.
I know.
In lighter news... Oh, go ahead. Do you want...
In lighter news...
Do you want a light at the end of the tunnel?
Is there? Because I feel like you always say that. And you always like snatch it away from me as soon as you tell me.
Is it me or is it Tolkien? So...
I'm blaming everyone.
I know.
I'm blaming everyone.
In lighter news, at this time, the moon takes its first journey. And with it also comes the arrival of Fingolfin and his company from their treacherous journey across the Helcarax into Middle-earth.
Okay.
And then, as they continue on their march, quote, the host of Fingolfin marched into Mithrim. The sun rose flaming in the west, and Fingolfin unfurled his blue and silver banners and blew his horns, and flowers sprang beneath his marching feet, and the ages of the stars were ended.
That would be cool to see.
Mm-hmm.
The first one.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, it doesn't say this, but I do kind of imagine, like, maybe Maedhros got, like, a little inkling of hope. Like,
yeah,
maybe that could have helped him a little bit.
like Captain America in Endgame.
Yes.
When he thinks it's all bad, and then he's like, and then he sees, and he gets inspired. He gets that extra energy to keep going.
Don't do this to me. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
And luckily, Fingolfin had excellent timing, because with the arrival of the sun, he was actually able to march right through Middle-earth without any attack, because the orcs were all hiding from the sun. Yeah. And the first thing that Fingolfin's company does sounds both amazingly hilarious to me and unbelievably sad at the same time.
Okay.
Quote, then the elves smote upon the gates of Angband, and the challenge of their trumpets shook the towers of Thangorodrim. And Maedhros heard them amid his torment and cried aloud, but his voice was lost in the echoes of the stone.
Oh, sad. No.
So the funny part, though, it's a picture in my brain. So the orcs are all hiding from the sun. So the elves can walk just right up to the gates of Angband. And I guess they don't they're like, should we just knock? Like,
Yeah.
so they just,
He has the doorbell.
yeah. So they smote the gates. And I swear there's a scene in Monty Python where they do this. They literally just like are hacking like walls or a gate with their swords. Like,
Yes.
and then no one is answering their forceful smiting upon the gates, so then they try challenging them with trumpets. So I feel like this is the equivalent of knocking on someone's door, and then when they don't answer, ringing the doorbell repeatedly.
Yeah. Hey, I know you're in there. I saw you.
Yeah.
I saw you.
So
They're like looking through the mail slot. They're like, I see you in there.
Nobody's home.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
so it's just like a really funny scene to me. But then it becomes devastatingly sad that Maedhros can hear them and tries to call out to them, but they can't hear him.
Oh man. That is sad.
Yeah. But Fingolfin, being of other temper than Feanor and wary of the wiles of Morgoth, withdrew and turned back towards Mithrim, for he had heard tidings that there he should find the sons of Feanor, while his people rested and grew strong. For he had seen the strength of Angband, and thought not that it would fall to the sound of trumpets only.
Oh.
Like, what a concept. This guy actually is like thinking it through.
Wow.
So Fingolfin's company arrives at Lake Mithrim, and they have what could only be one of the most awkward reunions in history with an old orc.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's definitely
So
tension.
these are the ones that just like crossed the like horrible icy thing because they got left behind.
Mm-hmm.
They finally made it back
Mm-hmm.
to the elves that were awful, that left them behind and burned their ships and didn't come back to get them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be great.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So Feanor's sons are a bit embarrassed and ashamed of their whole actions.
They're like, oh, you guys made it? Oh my gosh. Oh, you know what? We were gonna come. We were gonna come get you. But, yeah. Anyway.
Have you seen the lake?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, have you seen this? It's gorgeous. You gotta really check it out. How are you? How are things?
I have
Have you
frostbite
been?
and my wife died.
Yeah. Oh no, really? Oh. Oh, that stinks. Anyway.
So some of the sons of Feanor actually did apologize and even like were amazed and impressed, and they praised the valor of this group of people that managed to make it across the Hellcracks. Like, oh, we thought that was impossible, but look at you guys. You did
You
it.
did it. Oh my gosh, we totally believed in you. We knew you could do it this whole time.
So they're a little awkward. And then Fingolfin's company, of course, hurt, outraged, offended. And, because people did die along the way in the Helcarax. So,
Yeah.
and although Feanor was gone, they did consider his sons to be accomplices. Like, you could have stopped him, but no.
Yeah. I really want, like, the Feanor's company to be like, oh my gosh, you guys made it! Oh! And then, like, the other company's just, like, completely silent, like, the whole time, like, not responding. Like, mm-hmm.
There's a meme out there that I'm going to post once we get this episode posted. It's like Galadriel and her brothers, and they're like in the Hellcracks, and like, I'm going to kill Feanor once we get there. I'm going to punch him in the face. And she's getting all angsty. And then like they finally made it. She's like, where's Feanor? And they're like, he died. Of course he did! You know, like,
Yeah.
he couldn't even given me that!
Yeah. Yeah, he also doesn't have a body, so, like, he, like, just floated away. Of course he
You
did!
can't even, like, smack his corpse.
Yeah. Like, he didn't even wanna stick around. God.
And, you know, this is why people need to read the Silmarillion that are like, what is Galadriel's problem? This is her problem.
Yes. She had a rough start.
Yeah. So, Fingolfin's company, it's actually still somehow bigger than the Sons of Feanor. They separated themselves and actually made their camp on the opposite side of the lake.
Mm. Very, very, like, teenager, like, silent treatment.
Yes. But, you know, they could have gone somewhere else. Like, I still feel like Fingolfin is still, like, this is still a Fingolfin move. Feanor would have, like, done something way worse.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, we're gonna stay near you, but we're still mad at you.
yeah. Also, do you have any food?
How about some bandages?
Yeah,
Uh,
please.
so Morgoth, I'm not sure, it doesn't say if he's seeing this through spies or through some kind of like supervision, but he sees that they're divided and, quote, he laughed. Because whenever he sees division, he sees weakness. So he
Mm.
started his forges in Angband and caused all sorts of smoke and vapors to cloud the sky to block the light.
Oh, no.
Then Fingolfin's eldest son, Fingon the Valiant, got an idea. Remember, he was besties with Feanor's son, Maedhros. Remember when Maedhros was like, you know, they got to Middle Earth and like right before Feanor burned the ships, he's like, okay, who are we going to bring back first? My buddy Fingon? Like,
Yeah, like, he was totally, like, what is it? Innocent
yeah,
of, like, okay. Oh,
yeah,
what?
yeah. So Fingon, you know, he really wants to save his friend. And, you know, he wants the Noldor to all be together. He wants everyone to be a big, happy family. And he feels like, you know, maybe if I save my buddy Maedhros, it will make everyone happy.
Yeah. I mean, it'll make me happy.
Right? And though he knew not yet that Maedhros had not forgotten him at the burning of the ships, the thought of their ancient friendship stung his heart. Therefore, I know,
Oh.
he dared a deed which is justly renowned among the feats of the princes of the Noldor.
Mm.
Okay, you ready for this, Abby? Are you ready?
Mm.
So, Fingon, completely alone, decides he's going to rescue his buddy. How they knew he was alive is a
What?
mystery, but anyway. With the light being covered by
I could feel it.
Morgoth's smoke and vapors, Fingon used the darkness to his advantage and sneaked into, quote, the fastness of his foes. So he's going into enemy territory. And
Across enemy lines.
uh-huh. And he climbs all over the mountains of Thangorodrim, but he can't seem to find Maedhros. And I'm just going to quote the book
Mhm.
here for a bit just because this part is so epic. Okay, you ready? You ready?
Okay.
Okay. Quote. Then, in defiance of the orcs, who cowered still in the dark vaults beneath the earth, he took his harp and sang a song of Valinor that the Noldor had made of old, before strife was born among the sons of Finwë. And his voice rang in the mournful hollows that had never heard before aught save cries of fear and woe. Thus Fingon found what he sought, for suddenly above him, far and faint, his song was taken up, and a voice answering called to him. Maedhros it was that sang amid his torment. But Fingon climbed to the foot of the precipice where his kinsman hung, and then could go no further. And he wept when he saw the cruel device of Morgoth, Maedhros, therefore, being in anguish, without hope, begged Fingon to shoot him with his bow. And Fingon strung an arrow, bent his bow, and seeing no better hope, he cried to Manwë, saying, O king, to whom all birds are dear, speed now this feathered shaft, and recall some pity for the Noldor in their need. And that's where we're gonna. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
This scene just
that's so
breaks
sad.
my heart. Imagine working so hard, risking your life to find your best friend, only to find them in such a way that you can't save them. And then he asks
Literally
you,
hanging there.
yeah. And then he asks you to end his misery by killing him. Like, do you think you could do that? Would you do that for me? Would you kill me?
I mean, if
Would
you
you
had
kill me or
nothing.
not?
You know, would be. It's really hard because, like, that poor guy. He was like, "Okay, let's do this as a group," and then when they got to Middle Earth, he's like, "Okay, let's go back for my friend," and then let's go back for them, and then he got betrayed that way, and so he was probably feeling so guilty
Mm-hmm.
for the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he finally was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go save my friend," and then he saw his friend in such a sad, like, horrible way, and then
Yes.
his friend, like, and to be the last person to be there to be like, "Okay, I'm glad you were here with me when I died."
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that makes me so sad.
Yes.
That makes me so sad.
Okay. There is
Oh.
hope. There is hope. So hang in there. So Fingon prays to Manwë to guide his arrow, right? And Manwë actually hears him. Remember, Manwë does love his birds. They act as his spies and as messengers. We still need to make that meme of him using them as Twitter tweets.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he had actually sent some eagles to live in the cliffs above Angband to keep an eye on Morgoth. And one of the eagles
Mm.
there is named Thorondor, and he is actually the king of eagles. And he just so happens to be the mightiest of all birds that have ever been. He had a
I'm
wings.
assuming they're like the giant eagles.
Yes. Oh, you want to talk giant? He had a wingspan of, I don't know why he uses fathoms here, but 30 fathoms. You want to know how much that is?
Is that
Because I
fathoms like
I wondered how much it was. It's the equivalent
it's
of,
not like a sea thing?
that's what I thought too, 180 feet, or for you metric people, 54 meters. And in case you wanted to know about how wide or long this was, I can only go with length because things aren't usually this wide. This is about the same length or height as the Leaning Tower of Pisa in Italy, or
Wow.
my personal favorite, it's the height of the Cinderella Castle at Disney World in Florida.
Wow. And that's his wingspan?
That's his wingspan.
Huh.
So, long
That's
story
big.
short, sorry for the segue, it's a freaking huge eagle.
Yes, it is.
So, Fingon, just about to bend his bow to shoot an arrow to kill his best friend, when
Uh-huh.
Thorondor, the huge eagle, stops him. Quote,
Okay.
and staying Fingon's hand, he took him up and bore him to the face of the rock where Maedhros hung. But Fingon could not release the hell-wrought bond upon his wrist, nor sever it, nor draw it from the stone. And
Oh
again,
no.
therefore, in his pain, Maedhros begged that he would slay him. But Fingon cut off his hand above the wrist, and Thorondor bore them back to Mithrim.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
he got out, I
Yeah.
guess. But that's also like not great, but also like he got to be free.
Yes. Now that is friendship, would you cut off my hand for me rather than let me die?
I would. I
I
would.
would do the same for you, my friend.
I'd get you a sweet hook.
Right? Bedazzle it, of course. In case you're wondering, Maedros lives, and in time he was healed. Quote, for the fire of life was hot within him. Remember, his dad was Feanor. But
Mm-hmm.
while his body might have recovered, quote, the shadow of his pain was in his heart, and he lived to wield his sword with left hand more deadly than his right had been.
That's some character growth, you
Right?
know?
Yeah. So Fingon not only saved his best friend, but with this act, he was able to mend the strife between the House of Fingolfin and the House of Feanor.
Oh,
Fingon, Fingon, Fingon.
yeah, yeah.
And that is where I'm going to leave you today.
Oh, with friends chopping off friends' arms
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
out of love and
Out of,
friendship.
yes.
Oh, you were right though. I did tear up. I
Ha!
did tear up when he told me
I win!
that he had to do that for his friend that he loved so much.
Yes.
Uh, it's he does so well with like giving you enough to visualize it in your brain, like enough like descriptors to understand the like emotion and stuff like that, that it is very emotional. It is very like uh real, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
It's a very real thought of this poor guy feels so guilty that he left his friend behind, and then he had to see his friend dying basically from being tortured, and he
Mm-hmm.
couldn't do anything about it. And then to ask his friend to ask him to kill him, like, just kill me please. Like, I don't want to be here anymore. I'm like, oh. Do you think the Fingon is like grumpy at his dad for doing that stuff?
Maedros. Wait, why would
No,
Fingon
yeah,
be mad at
Maedros.
his dad?
No. Maedros,
Okay.
Maedros.
Yeah, I think he
Not
was.
Fingon. Sorry.
In all of the imagery of the burning of the ships, you always see Maedros kind of off to the side. Like he and it does say that like he alone didn't like take part in the burning of the ships.
Do you think he's like, just kill me because I feel so guilty that I did all that stuff to you?
Yeah.
Like,
I and that could have been like, what are you doing here? Like,
I don't deserve this.
yeah.
We you know, I don't deserve your pity or your friendship
Yeah.
after what I did.
I could definitely see that. And I debated talking about this, but I feel like it needs to be said. And I don't want to get hate for this. I just am
Oh
going to
no.
express an opinion.
Okay.
A lot of the artwork of and memes and fan things of this friendship does go into the territory that they are lovers.
Mm.
I do not agree with that. I think Tolkien has many male friendships that are very warm and very close, but never went into that territory. And I think that
Yeah.
really stems from his friendships that he had with his own friends in the the something society, the T what is that called? You know what I'm talking about though.
Yeah.
And like his
Mhm.
friendship with C.S. Lewis, like he had a lot of really close friendships with men throughout his life. And as far as I know, they never went into that realm. I don't think Tolkien was writing for that.
You
And
can have beautiful
yeah,
friendships.
that's just my
You can
personal
have beautiful
opinion.
friendships. If you want to believe that, you can believe that.
Yes, yes,
But
yes.
I just see it as a beautiful friendship. They grew up together, and he had plans of like, yeah, we're going to go start a new life over here. And but then that guilt of like survivor's guilt, I think, of
Yeah,
like, and then yeah,
yeah,
just a beautiful friendship of, I'm going to go find you and make sure you know that like I'm
I
still
forgive
your
you.
friend.
Yeah,
It wasn't me.
yeah,
It wasn't me that did that.
yeah. And that is true loving Friendship.
Yes, I will chop off your arm for you. And then we can fly on an eagle together. Okay. That was a very sad episode. I'm very, lots of people died and were sad. And I'm sad that that's how Feanor went. But you know what? What's a more epic way to go, right?
Yeah.
I mean, could you really... The only other thing that could upscale that was if he was killed by Morgoth himself.
Right.
Like...
But I literally see Morgoth literally just like flicking him and he dies. like a little flea. Like
yeah. Well, my Elvish word for today is an easy one. And it might be a one that you've heard before. But I thought it appropriate for this episode because it talked about such strong friendships that our Elvish word for today is friend. And I'm sure you know what it is.
Melon.
Yes, melon.
Melon.
M-E-L-L-O-N. Or if you want to do the plural form, is melon. M-E-L-L-Y-N.
That's an interesting plural.
Not
melons.
Melon.
Melin.
You're my melons. You've probably heard that before in the
Hobbit.
Fellowship, right?
Oh, Fellowship, yeah.
The Fellowship of the
Ring.
But melon is the word for friend in Sindarin. And I actually heard they say it in like The Hobbit and in the Rings of Power show, which is pretty cool. I'm like, yay! They're actually using
connection.
But thank you for this heartbreaking episode. I hope that you would just know that if you're ever chained to a rock by some giant evil cloud, that I will chop your arm off for you and we would ride an eagle together.
Thank you.
Into the sunset.
Thank you. You too. Okay. I love you.
I love you too.
Until next week.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Remember, follow us on Instagram, Sisters of the Shire Podcast. Make sure to rate and review on all of your platforms. Please rate and review.
Less than an episode of The Rings of Power to...
And we have new countries.
Oh.
The Philippines, Sweden, and Nigeria.
Cool. Is that our first? No, that can't be our first African continent country, is it?
There's Kuwait and South Africa and Pakistan.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But yeah, we have so many different countries. I love it.
I know. We're hitting all the continents. Mm-hmm. We're hitting all the continents.
Come on, Antarctica. Come on.
There's people down there. I know it. They're probably way bored. You can listen to us.
What you need? No, you don't need a jacket. Yeah. You need.
Yeah. This is what you need. Well, thank you for hanging out with us today, and I hope you enjoyed this. Like Ashley said, please rate and review. It doesn't take very long to do that. Just a few minutes, clickety-clacking on the keyboard, and it'll really help us out. And if you guys are still celebrating, want to send in pictures of you guys celebrating how you celebrated Hobbit Day, we will put it on our stories if you want to send that to us. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I hope it's full of sunshine where you are, like it is here. Mm-hmm. And yeah, thanks for hanging out with us. And we'll catch you guys next time. I've been Abby.
And I've been Ashley.
And we hope you have a great day.